Awesome.
Time to rock. Boy, this is really light.
A lot of old.
As you warned me.
I did, yes.
I gotta get to bed. I can't.
I think there's a little bit of
Go
a
to- I get up
delay.
at 3.
There's a delay,
Shower,
but he looked like he was,
batch
he
everything
looked
out.
at that and then he went back to the computer. So
The airport by roughly 5. And then they board.
We're good. See you later.
Give us plenty of time.
We're ready to go.
We land around 10.
We're live.
Oh, there we
Right.
go.
There we go.
Excellent. All right, good evening and welcome to the January 7th, 2026 Plastow Planning Board meeting. Charlene, could you take the roll, please?
Yep, Richard Anthony,
Here.
Karen Robinson. Here. Dan Kane. Here. Rich Leclerc.
Here.
Nolan Pelletier.
Here.
Bill Coy.
Here.
Liz Costa. Here. And Shay Raymaker is hiding somewhere.
She'll be joining us in a bit, but for purposes of this meeting, Shay Raymaker will be participating. All right, you have minutes from December 17th.
Okay.
I take a minute and then entertain a motion to accept them if there are no changes.
I make a motion to accept the minutes from December 17th.
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained?
Aye.
He wasn't here.
All right, so that's going to be what, 1, 2, 3, 4,
401.
401, thank you. It's, you're gonna need a cheat sheet on that. All right. Let me think, well, old business, like I said, I kind of gave, this is gonna be relatively, I think the centerpiece of what tonight's gonna be is sort of a non-public, but I thought maybe we would just kind of go over some, old business, seeing as that this is 2026 and, we just sort of, we've done our public hearings with respect to zoning. All right, so we're kind of ahead of the game a little bit. All right, so, we have a couple months, which to kind of, ruminate as to what we want to do. I think in terms of zoning, I think we're looking to do, what is it called, Dan, with respect to
So basically, the thought is we've got 10 ordinances, 5 are like 1 or 2 liners that would go in as the full words.
but what are we calling that?
We call-
Topical descriptions, right? Okay.
The other 5 would be in some sort of topical description of substance. That's the. So in the past, they've kind of just gone through as a summary and like an outline. My thought was put together a simple paragraph, which would appear to be more descriptive. So I have a draft of the 5. They're each just 1 paragraph long. I'll get those out. We can take a look. And really, it's a recommendation to the town clerk and the board of selectmen because you're controlling the ballot, I think trying to give someone who's looking at it without reading the whole ordinance, because those will be there to read, is a good idea of exactly what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
I would also recommend we do the same thing we did last year, is some sort of cable kind of, summary of what these zoning ordinances are, which to me, that's a week to 10 days before the,
Exactly.
that's about the,
Yeah, usually it's about the middle of February.
Yeah.
somewhere in there.
that to me is when everyone starts to pay more attention to the thing. So we can, right.
Oh, yeah.
Well, put it this way, who's ever paying attention will pay attention then.
Right.
Yeah,
So-
that can be on like they usually loop that, on the,
They go over and over
channel and
it too.
such.
So you
Yeah,
get a
and that
chance to
usually
see it.
it'll get posted to the town site and all that.
Yeah.
On Facebook, so then you can access it that way too.
you kind of get to see the little cable little cable room that's in the basement of the town hall. Which is available generically to anyone else that, wants to do a Wayne's World type cable production. That's available to you. So topical description, I guess what we're trying to avoid or trying to do is, some years, where we've seen some zoning that's been particularly, you kind of just get something that's like, what am I looking at?
Right.
It's just like,
No, and the average person's not gonna understand it if they just read the warrant article.
right.
So yeah, that's perfect.
All right. And so again, ultimately, it's in the hands of the clerk and the clerk's office and the
I
BOS.
just need to spend an hour or two kind of fixing all my pronunciation and spelling errors
In your spare time.
in my,
And this year's a lot different than a year ago too.
Yeah.
With what's on there.
yeah.
All right.
Can I ask a question? Has anyone
Yes.
been paying attention to what's going on at the legislature?
Yep.
Not as of late. I mean, there might have been an email that was a legislative
Shane
push.
sends out the
Yeah.
update, but
Right.
yeah, I thought last year was a little bit interesting. I think this year, at least the topics,
You're talking about 2026 or
Yeah.
2025 in review?
2026.
Okay.
Yeah. I would, as we go through the year, I would take a look at those, because they're taking more and more responsibility away from the town. It's a question of, where that is. And it's a question as we start to look at stuff, I think the more vocal you are, it's better to try and have a voice than have no voice, so,
Exactly.
but there's some definite, takeaways in what's trying to go on here, so.
I think at least what I'm seeing is, there seems to be some sort of movement, at least on the school board side, where there's a sense that, they kind of want to, or at least talk-wise, is try to push some of the stuff from the local control or even.
Yeah, and I'm really just narrowing in on, land use and zoning.
Land use. Yep.
Anything suspicious that you want to call attention to generically, or?
I mean, other than there's, a fair amount of activity in restricting local boards and that and
Yep.
the like, so.
All right. But we still, so I guess, when you get that push from the planning department with respect to legislative updates, then for 2026, we should probably pay attention to them just to see if you're going to be divested of
It may
authority.
get to the point where we can see how it's progressing, because you can, the link is there to go on. You can actually see the hearings. Is maybe a letter. What happened last year is I think the towns waited too far in the process
Yeah.
to make a lot of noise. I think this year, the earlier you make some noise, the better off you may be.
Yeah, if there's something you don't agree with, reach out.
Right.
I agree. I agree with that.
I mean, that's just
Or you agree with, reach out.
Yeah, one way or
whatever.
the other.
Right. It's not just anti, but right.
No.
Right.
No.
But
Right.
HB 675 is tomorrow, so
What's that one?
that's a tax school board cap.
Okay.
Right. Really more toward the school board, schools.
so Shay, we do read this stuff that you send out.
It's great to hear.
Just again, in the spirit of old business, again, let me just, before we move on from the legislative update, just like, I said, recently we saw, the traffic calming. All right, that there were two Department of Transportation, at least one in Greenland I know of, and the one that we had here. So in that sense, we were told rather directly that, limited resources, turnout's important. So just to sort of amplify what Dan's saying, it does pay to get in front of some of these things, and if we need to. So we were told directly that, if you're a rail trail or whatever, your turnout is big. So, and in the spirit of traffic calming, right? Because I know that I watched the Board of Selectmen meeting the other night, and you guys did talk about the fact that it looks like that Department of Transportation or the state police are going to have a presence of some kind.
They'll be around weighing trucks.
Weighing trucks, yeah.
You'll probably start seeing that, I would imagine, in the spring. It gets tough in the winter, right?
Okay.
So they'll set up like a weigh station probably over where the highway garage is. And
Yeah, I
funnel-
see where they're
and
gonna-
funnel the trucks through there, so they'll be weighed what's coming in and out of Main Street. And that'll happen several times during the year.
That's good.
Now, they did say, though, that, that they were going to be oriented with respect to, let's say, doing enforcement in terms of traffic controls, signs and such like that,
Right,
like
signs,
in
just as
Main
important.
Street. So, and I'm only bringing that up because, the Methuen construction, right? I didn't hear anything mentioned about Methuen construction. That no right-hand turn sign that should be there.
Temporary sign got put back up, I believe, correct?
Yep.
All right,
The code enforcement
see
officer
it.
drove by today. The sign has been put up.
okay. So where's that situated? Is it up front or is
I didn't see it.
back further?
It's right next to the stop sign.
Yeah, I saw
Awesome.
it.
It is
Yeah.
there. Oh, okay. I'll have to check that.
All right, well, awesome.
The bigger problem is the ones that are coming down North Ave and coming up Main Street. That There's no restriction
Right,
whatsoever.
that's,
And
yeah,
that's where the majority of the trucks are coming from.
that's with the way station should really be at that end, let's be honest with you.
You need a place
Be
to
honest with you.
pull trucks in, though. You need.
Yeah, you need a
No, I
large
know,
space.
I know you need a
That's why I was
space,
wondering where they were
that's
gonna
the
do it
problem.
on Main Street. There's no place to do it on Main Street.
No,
Well,
Well, once you get to the highway garage, yes.
for a while there, we had, 18-wheelers coming down Forest Street.
yeah,
That stopped. And
yeah,
then lo and behold, I'm coming down the other day.
They're still
one's-
coming.
One's coming down.
Oh, yeah.
They're still coming in Sweet Hill Road
Yeah.
and up Pollard.
And what
Up
they'll be
Pollard.
able to do,
Yep.
too, they'll work
Right
in
up Pollard.
conjunction with the police department
Yeah.
there. So then the police department get trained exactly what
Yeah.
to look for in the trucks and everything.
Yeah, so there's going to be actually, you guys discussed that, that there's going to be like some sort of opportunity for cross-training,
Yep.
of our police officers and such. That's pretty solid.
good.
All right. And just to segue into that question, because I think, Shay, I guess this, today we kind of discussed a little bit that, because we do have a number of like standing questions with respect to site plans at one time or another might have had like some sort of restriction with respect to like no left-hand turns or something like that. And then the plan had been subsequently amended and it doesn't
It
look
wasn't
like,
on there.
and it doesn't look like the, at least on first inspection, that
Didn't get transferred.
the signage didn't get transferred. So I guess that could be for any number of reasons, that maybe there were minutes in a planning board meeting where they did away with it, or it didn't get transferred correctly. So,
Yeah, so amended site plans should have a note saying, and they are now required per our site plan regulations to have a note saying, to reference the existing site plan that it's amending. But I think to be on the safe side, if the board wants to take all of the notes from a current site plan to a site plan that's being amended, then have in that saying something like, this is an amendment to the previous original site plan, list the reference plan. The owner is subject to all notes, conditions, and restrictions as shown on said reference plan.
Yeah.
would
And that
be
was
excellent.
copied, that was straight from 144 Main Street from the site plan for that. But so then it's really clear on the face of that approval, because anyone who's looking at the current site plan is only going to be looking at the one that's the last one that's been recorded.
Right,
And so as long as that note's on there, then everything should be continued forward.
I think it sounds excellent.
so, do we need to do, I personally think that sounds like at least a procedure.
So the notes don't carry on every single amended plan?
Currently not.
They do actually. 'Cause actually the surveyor who did the 144 Main Street, I spent an hour with them today going through just general. They're supposed to.
I would hope.
Okay. But when I have gone back and looked, it's not as definitive as we would rather have it be.
It needs to be.
Should be a
Yeah.
It
copy.
needs to be. There's no negotiation there.
No,
It needs
it's,
to follow
and
100%.
it's supposed to. They refer to the plan,
Right.
but it's not as specific as the
That's where
language.
you have things that drop off.
Yeah,
Exactly. So,
Right.
Well, so.
got to be exact.
Yeah.
So if the notes are carrying over, I do like the idea, you know, like if we can all say that the notes should carry over.
Well, the
But I
notes have
do,
to
but I
carry
do
over, not
like,
should.
but I
Have to.
like, well,
Sorry.
so what I'm saying is that I do like the idea of additional language.
Yes.
Yes.
You know, that stipulates.
Stating it.
And then refers back to, you know, what
Yeah.
site plan that's
good.
being amended.
we would probably have to put that into our site plan regs, right?
I would think so,
Yeah.
but there's a place where I think it can easily be added
Okay.
under the stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Good.
So I mean, I guess that's something too, if we want to update our site plan regulations to incorporate that, I
Make
think.
sure it's in there.
Just so that it's, you know, we're just sort of closing, bookending it.
Yeah. It just helps the whole process.
All right. Anything else on that, or? We had a discussion, I guess there's some email exchanges, RPC. I think we're setting a date to have them come down. All right. I understand that perhaps there's a little bit of a transition going on at RPC. I don't know if they have if the director position's been filled. But I had Shay reach out and just basically, just say, try to negotiate a time or a date, which are going to come down and we can sort of have a meet and greet. I think, in terms of a resource, we can talk about what they can do for us, so that, maybe to make our time a little more efficient, like on these workshops or something like that. For master plan, just so that we're not just reinventing the wheel and we just can kind of move forward on it. Anything to add on that, or is it just, is that my
So-
understanding?
Yeah, before they come in to meet in person, I have a Zoom meeting with them next week to just touch base and get on the same page. But I know the contract that was signed with RPC, that all happened before I came on board with the town. So if you guys want to give me a little insight into if there were specific sections of the master plan that we're looking to update, or what specifically you guys wanted from RPC, then I can make sure that's part of the conversation that I have with them.
All right, so we did the housing section, that's when we closed out, and it was eventually,
Closed up.
and that was updated on the website. All right, so that, that's, and thank you for doing that, Shay.
Right. Transportation maybe now?
Well, so I guess that's the question. Which ones do we want to?
But we were playing around with economic development and transportation. I think those
Yep.
were the ones that were in the queue.
That's what we were trying to do. Yep.
All right, so, I mean, consensus-wise, economic development, because I don't think there's anything there with respect to that, or the goals haven't been
Well, I think
fleshed
there's
out.
just, I don't think there's a section on economic development
there
in the
isn't.
plan. I think there's just some goals sitting there.
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
Do
it's
it
pretty
with
much like a shell.
Yeah.
Well, and the question is should there be a section in the master plan? And I'm not saying there should or shouldn't. I just, that's just the question. Or should we just, transportation probably needs to be updated a bit, and it dovetails with what's going on. So
All right,
I think the goal here is we should be updating this, some section every year.
Yeah, that's right.
Just pick one, pick one, and we can at least get back on track, I think.
Yep.
Because we haven't looked at it essentially in the 2 years I've been on the board.
No, it's been
I
4 or
would
5.
personally lean
Been 4
towards
or 5.
transportation.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, if we're talking about economic development, the reevaluation gave basically a 30% tax deduction to businesses. So I think, in that light,
we're developing the economy
we
of
pushed it
plastic.
onto the taxpayers and gave the commercial a break. So, I mean, that should help economic development, I guess.
Sort of a cynical way of looking at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, transportation is sort of a natural segue.
I think it's a
I mean,
good one.
we've
Please put in there.
we've had DOT come down. We've had traffic calming conversations. Board of Selectmen are talking about it.
It's the topic of the day.
It's the topic of the day,
It
exactly.
might as well be topical.
Right, so I guess if we're going to talk about the master plan, then, order would probably be transportation's hot, economic development,
And that's with when I interviewed all these towns with the different things, what they were working on was transportation right now, but they had done a little bit on economic development. So we could find out exactly where they started and what section, out of economic development. I can find out.
yeah, but,
But I think transportation is one that some other towns are working on as well,
all right.
is what I found out.
So I think that would be sort of a natural, sort of build on the momentum that we see in town, economic development. So you're going to have the Zoom meeting next week, you said, or?
Yep, Tuesday.
Okay. All right. And I think there might be, I don't know if there's I don't know what their scheduling is, or if they're out of sync with us, with respect to RPC support. So I guess that would be something that would be good to nail down, that if, we have, our normal planning board meetings, I don't know if they're available during those meetings. If they aren't, then, we can talk about that. If we need to do some sort of scheduling or we take our non-workshop, if there's nothing happening in terms of an application, maybe we take advantage of that, that late schedule and see if we can accommodate them on that. But so 2026 it'd be nice to have it be an RPC year, right? So
Yeah, maybe.
anything else on that, or ideas that you'd like to see RPC perhaps speak to? All right. Okay. I know we talked about it just briefly in terms of like fees, that, there are a number of fees or something that come into the planning, through the planning department, that my understanding is that, those should be segregated and best practice. And by best practice, I mean probably something outlined by the RSA. That I think that various fees coming in through the planning department, the best practice is that they're somehow segregated into a non-lapsing account or something. And I don't know if we've done that traditionally as a planning board, or at least my understanding. And
Well, again, it's not the planning board's
Planning.
job, it's the town treasurer's job.
okay,
That's with the RSA. And so right now, as I understand it, and Shay, you may know more of the detail, is all the escrow and bond fees go into a segregated account. So what doesn't go into is the general application fees. So in the RSA, they make no distinction between the bond fees, the escrow fees, and the general fees. Everything gets captured in that account, in a non-lapsing account. And again, the treasurer is the one who maintains that. And then the process is the treasurer waits until the planning board, no different than the way the Board of Selectmen work on most of the dollars, waits till the planning board approves the payment of those expenses, if you will. So, I think I've had a conversation with the town manager briefly. I don't think he's a fan of having the all of the fees head into a non-lapsing account. The challenge is I don't think they have much room. I think if we're going to follow the RSA, or the treasurer's going to follow the RSA, it's got a fairly narrow road that he has to toe. So, I mean, I'm more inclined to just follow the law.
Shocker.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think we should have a good, I'd be more inclined to kind of not fuss over this too much if I just could get some more visibility on, what's coming in and what's going out. I don't think that's an unreasonable request. Versus whether we're sitting there, approving every invoice. I think to me, it's just some transparency and some visibility.
Good luck with that.
All right. I mean, we have an assistant that we hired an assistant treasurer, correct? Now, I mean, because I know there was a treasurer, but I believe he wasn't on site. And I think the question was that if he's endorsing checks or something.
Well, I think Emily's the assistant treasurer now, right? Yeah.
Okay.
So.
In terms of general planning board invoices, since I'm processing those, I'm working on creating a spreadsheet that I can bring to the board at like monthly or at each meeting, whatever, to just keep updated to show what's going through, if that works.
I think as a start, that certainly could work,
Yeah, it's just something we can just put in the folder.
Yeah, could the spreadsheet be put right in the folder? And for some reason, on my phone, this stuff is not coming over when it's in a spreadsheet form. I don't receive that.
Might have to get that Excel app.
And I'd almost think
Nope,
monthly
I don't
is
have
fine
that.
instead of
Yeah.
every-
monthly's fine.
Monthly's fine.
Monthly's fine.
Monthly's
Yeah,
fine.
no, right, exactly.
And if we
Yeah,
just
don't
did
do
it
too
at
much.
like the workshop meeting, that's perfect.
Yep,
No, that
would be
sounds
great.
excellent.
Yep.
All right. Any additional questions on that, or do we just move on from that?
Yeah.
All right. That's all I have off of, in terms of like, old business or whatever from 2025 that I thought was kind of outstanding. Anyone else have anything? So in terms of, priorities for 2026, I think, Dan, we had talked about briefly, maybe, our site plan. Is there something that we wanted to kind of take a crack at? Or?
Yeah, I mean, it's sitting there as just a blob on my desk right now that we started working on. So I think, getting into the new year, we can certainly take a look at that. I think send out what we kind of have, and then we can maybe pick that up.
All right. So probably just start circulating that then, in terms of, and then we can talk about what we need to do if we want to, on our workshops or whatever, how we want to develop that. All right.
I can get a clean, it's kind of a little bit bulky now, but I can get a clean draft for our next workshop meeting.
All right. All right.
I don't know, is this time for me to say something?
Say whatever you want.
Yep, the C3, I want to go over that. I'm going to go back to my original writing of that. And after being told, certain stuff didn't need to be on there, I'm going to make sure that we get it back on there. And I just would like to work on that.
So
Wanna update
kind of
C3.
revisit C3
Yep.
for 2026.
Yes, please.
All right. Fair enough. All right.
And I think the Energy Committee's working on the solar one too, right?
That's correct.
Did they say they wanted to meet at some point, or was that just sort of notional that we're working 2026 and we're doing zoning? It was sort of a heads up that they were looking to do something zoning wise for
Are we
solar.
adding to the zoning?
I think they would
Solar.
like to work with the planning board on it, but they're going to visit it for the first time at their meeting in February. So I'll try to
Okay.
get more information on that.
No, but it was to update the solar ordinance
Right.
in
The
particular,
solar
right?
ordinance, yeah, remove like size restrictions and things like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we need to do that.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, we had a draft of playing around with that this year, but we tabled it.
Yep.
All right.
Which I'd rather have more input, quite frankly, from the Energy Commission
Yeah.
committee anyways. So,
But it's good that everyone's working on it early.
Yeah.
Because that was a big difference this year. It really was. You know,
Wait, you didn't like
and
last year?
it still got down to like, I was like,
it did, but it wasn't, it
Yeah.
was pretty much all buttoned up by the time we really had to do anything.
Wait, you don't want to do late night meetings? That was the best time.
I wasn't at that one. I was traveling.
It was a good day. It was a good time to travel. Let me put it that
That comes up, I will be traveling,
right.
I can assure you.
Yeah, one last alibi here. Just so everyone knows, it is in our rules and procedures that you kind of expected or exhorted to do. Some sort of avail yourself of the education that might be out there in terms of the New Hampshire Municipal Association or other
BEA.
BEA and such. Right. So for 2026, it doesn't have to be a deep dive or anything like that. But if there are classes that are offered in BEA, New Hampshire Municipal Association, or if anyone else has taken something, they know that there's something that's has a lot of granularity to it. Feel free to share and point people in those
I'll
directions.
tell you the ones that you can get some, and they're not a big time hit, is they do these planning lunches at noon. So it's on a Zoom.
Right on it. Right.
It's, it's over before you know it, and they're pretty informative, and
Who does that? Just
I think that's
BEA.
Yeah.
BEA, right?
Yeah.
And that is in the email push that we get
Yeah, I see
periodically.
it, I see
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Those are, they're quick. It accomplishes what we need, and they're topical in terms of what we're doing. So
All right.
those are easy ones,
Yeah.
versus spending a whole day on a
Yes,
planning conference
right.
that chews up a lot of time.
Which gets tough when you're going to work.
Right.
Exactly.
That work thing.
It's tough.
Gets in the way.
It's the way of life.
All right. So again, like I said, 2026, just if you have the opportunity, avail it, so that, we're at least up to speed and just even again, taking these things, part of the takeaway is that you get to hear someone talk about something and, there's a sort of a built-in synergy there where someone might say something and it leads you in a different direction. So, I look at it that way. So, all right. Anything else? I think that's all I had before we go into do our non-public. And just so everyone knows that we will be going into non-public and not returning. So for the public, that'll be all there is. So this will be the first time I've done this going into non-public for this. So that
Time for everything.
yeah. So it's going to be, all right. I move to enter non-public under RSA 91A3, Section 2L, which is consideration of a legal advice provided by legal counsel, either in writing or orally, to one or more members of the public body, even where legal counsel is not present. So I have a second.
No second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Usually it should be polled.
Yeah, it's going to
Okay.
be a roll call vote.
All right,
Yeah.
so there you go, roll call vote. Someone want to do the roll call vote?
Yeah. Charlene,
You want me to
Yeah.
do that?
you just call names and it's yes or no.
Sure. Richard Anthony,
Yes.
Karen Robinson,
Yes.
Ann Kane,
Yes.
Rich Leclerc,
Yes.
Nolan Pelletier,
Not a voting member.
Bill Coy.
Yes,
That's all I need.
that's it.
That's it.
That's it. All right.
We're now in non-public once
What's the,
Shut it
Turns
off.
it off.
Yeah.
We need to tell them that we're.